Little children spend more than half of their lives asleep. It's something we rarely stop to think about, but when you add up nighttime sleep and daytime naps, this is really what it comes to in the early years. And in light of that, I want to draw your attention to something that almost always accompanies their sleep: their lovey, their cuddly toy, their comfort object, the thing that ends up pressed against their face for hours every single day. This is a topic I wanted to talk about for quite some time, but I felt quite constrained by Instagram's 3-minute limit, so I decided to share it here on YouTube, where I can actually take the time to explain it properly. We live in a time where there are endless cute toy options, and when you're a first-time parent, it's genuinely hard to even think about toy materials. There are already so many unfamiliar things, so many decisions to make, and you're learning as you go. And that's exactly where I was when I was pregnant with Freya. At that point, my main concern when choosing her lovies was how they looked, whether they would photograph nicely, and whether they carried some kind of meaning. I didn't think twice about materials. Now, almost 5 years into motherhood with 2 children, I have a very real learning curve to share. So let's start with why materials matter. Most cuddly toys on the market today are made of polyester and filled with polyester as well. And while exposure to plastic is often discussed in the context of food containers or bottles, and toys usually spend most of their time sitting around the place, that changes completely when we talk about a child's lovey. A lovey is not just any toy. It's the one, or sometimes the few, that a child deeply bonds with, the one they carry everywhere. It becomes a transitional object, and very quickly, almost like a family member. Lovies can help children emotionally regulate. They support them through hard moments, they help them feel safe at night, and they carry a piece of familiarity with them wherever your child goes. When a child is approaching their first birthday is often when many parents start placing a cuddly toy into the crib as a bonding opportunity. And this is also when the early stages of caring play begin. But this is still very much the stage where children put everything in their mouth. Whatever that toy is, it will be sucked on, bitten, chewed, rubbed against their face, and eventually slept with, tucked right up against their nose and mouth for hours at a time. And this is why material choice matters quite a great deal. While there are studies on this topic, I honestly don't think that as parents we always need scientific data for decisions like this. Common sense still has a place. Polyester toys shed particles into the air. You can think of it almost like polyester dust. These toys are squished, dragged around, and handled constantly. And those particles don't just disappear, they get inhaled. But the fibers aren't the only concern. It's also whatever the fabric has been treated with. Depending on where the toy is made and how transparent the supply chain is, that can include a wide range of finishes, dyes, and chemical treatments, many of which are very hard to trace. It's also easy to fall into greenwashing around recycled polyester. And while the intention is good, recycled polyester is still polyester, it's still plastic. And when recycled plastic is used, the original source material can be harder to track, which makes chemical contamination harder to control. And don't even get me started on the new biodegradable plastic filling. There's also another aspect that is well documented but doesn't get talked about nearly enough. Polyester is electrostatic by nature. It means that when it's rubbed, squeezed, or dragged across skin, carpets, bedding, or clothing, it builds up static electricity. And because polyester has very low moisture absorption, it doesn't dissipate that charge as readily as natural fibers like cotton or wool. Once charged, polyester surfaces attract airborne dust, skin flakes, textile fibers, microplastics already floating in indoor air, pollen, and other particles. These toys are literally passive dust magnets. And household dust isn't just dirt. It commonly contains microplastics, allergens like dust mite fragments, bacteria, fungal spores, residues from cleaning products, and trace heavy metals. That being said, I'm not inviting anyone to panic or throw away all of your child's toys. We do have polyester toys at home, quite a few, but we also have boundaries around them. For example, we don't have a buildup of plush toys in the bed. And we ask friends and relatives not to gift cuddly toys, simply because this is the easiest toy category for clutter to get out of control. The same, of course, goes for your child's bedding and sleeping clothes, but that's a topic for another video. Now, I want to take you through my own personal journey with cuddly toys. I'll also include a few brands that make all natural cuddly toys in the description below, so you know where to look if this topic is of interest to you. When I was pregnant with my first, materials were not a big concern for me. I was very much led by aesthetic, and I didn't have much experience with lovies except for lovies of my younger siblings. And so I just wanted to choose something meaningful, something my daughter might even be proud to keep when she's a teenager. So while I was pregnant, I came across 2 cuddly toys that really resonated with me, and honestly, they still do. I just wish both brands would consider remaking these in natural fibers. The first one is this Cuddly Lynx from Slumberkins. What I loved about the brand was the concept. Their lovies are emotional support toys and focus on specific traits and emotions. Each one has a story, an affirmation card, and a little book. And so when I was choosing one for Freya, I went with this one that represents self-expression, because that was the message I wanted to give her from us as parents. We still have her, and she's my daughter's main lovey, and a lovey is not something you can take away. I can't undo that choice, and I wouldn't want to. But I do think about it often because I've seen how much time my daughter has spent with this toy. And not just during sleep, but during waking hours. When she needs comfort in the car, it's practically another family member, and she still plays with her and still presses her right up against her face. And when I say a child spends a lot of time with their lovey, I really mean it. It comes everywhere we go. I love how slim and soft it is, and it's easy to cuddle and really easy to pack, but it's fully made of polyester. Now, the second lovey we put on our registry was Mooney. It's a little rabbit, and it has a lamp and a music module. We used it as a nightlight and as part of my daughter's bedtime routine. And eventually it made its way into the bed and became her second core lovey. And it's made of polyester and filled with polyester. And again, I can't take it away. And after having these 2, I started coming across more information about materials. When I got pregnant with my son, and already loving Mooney, I noticed that they had released an organic cotton version. And so Freya gifted him a Mooney bear. What I didn't quite think about was that organic cotton bear was filled with polyester, of course. So while there's no direct skin-to-skin contact with the filling itself, I'm very confident that microparticles can still make their way out through the outer layer. And that's where my thinking around cuddly toys really started to shift. Now, onto our latest addition. When Theo started showing interest in Freya's cuddly toys, I went on a hunt for an all-natural cuddly toy. And that's when I came across Waldorf dolls. They're usually made from cotton and filled with wool or cotton, and they have a lovely weight to them. They can be washed, they can even be bathed, and they're incredible for caring play and make wonderful companions. So I got one for Theo from one of my favorite brands, Sarah Silks. Funny enough, his name is Leo, so I got a Leo for Theo, and I've been very impressed with this one. They do tend to come at a higher price, but when you think about how many years your child will play with a toy like this, especially if you minimize the number of cuddly toys you buy, it makes sense to invest in better materials and fewer lovies. Some people will say that exposure to microplastics and dust is inevitable. And yes, I understand that. And I don't obsess with a non-toxic lifestyle or sustainability in every area of life. My approach has always been to tackle the biggest points of exposure. And for me, the things that surround our children during sleep and the things that go in their face and mouth are absolutely worth focusing on. And that's where the intentional informed choices matter most. I really hope this video gives you a new perspective on child's toys, and if you're expecting a baby or your child hasn't bonded with a lovey yet, it's genuinely worth considering a good natural cuddly toy. And if you're a grandparent or a relative who loves gifting jelly cats or stuffies, please think twice before buying more. As lovely as the gesture is, you're practically gifting a dust magnet. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. And if you're into early years learning, homeschooling, learning through play and open-ended crafts, subscribe to the channel and I'll see you in the next one.